So in the right corner, we have the undisputed champion, heavyweight champion of the streaming world, which is the Nvidia Shield Pro. On the left side, we've got this new contender, the G1 Android TV box from Kinhank. So first question, how are the Wi-Fi speeds between the two devices? Well, if I just start this on the Nvidia Shield Pro, which is connected to 5 GHz Wi-Fi, has a download speed of just over 400 meg downstream. And let's now try the new box and let's see what we get in test number 1. Now this box is also next to me, and we can see in this box on test number 1 gets a speed of over 660 meg downstream. And obviously there is a caveat because I'm sure you guys know the Nvidia Shield Pro does actually support gigabit Ethernet, and I will do an Ethernet test in just a second. Let's now do test number 1 over Ethernet with that dedicated gigabit port. Gets download speeds of over 920 meg downstream. So super fast, gigabit, solid connection. Won't have any issues with what you'd get on a typical Wi-Fi connection with interference, with distance. Nothing beats a solid hardwired connection. And if I now try the same test on the G1, and because of the 100 meg port, we can see this one gets completely destroyed by the Nvidia Shield if you're talking about a hardwired connection. Now, this was one of the questions that I received on my last video, or when I created that community post asking you guys what questions did you have about this new G1 Android TV device. And I'm also going to share the competition details on how you can win this new G1 Android TV box, a worldwide competition. So make sure you watch this video to the end. The next one we have is from Jacobs1259, who says, I think for a few dollars more, the Shield is a better option. On a serious note, you can't really compare this $100 device to the Nvidia Shield Pro because the Nvidia Shield Pro is designed at the upper end of the streaming market, has a very good CPU, has a superb GPU. If you're interested in emulation or gaming, there really is nothing better or nothing like it. Has gigabit Ethernet, has multiple USB 3 ports. It is, I would say, in a separate class. This one, the G1, I would say is like a mid-tier, mid-range $100 Android TV box. And at that price point, I do think it's a very, very good option. Next up, we have a question from Rob who's asking, what are the specs of this box and is there any updates available after purchasing it? Now, that's a great question because one of the concerns is when you buy like an unknown or not super well-known branded box, what is the guarantee that you'll get some updates with this box? Well, I did double check with the vendor and they did confirm that you will get software updates with this. And even if we look on the actual box, we can see if we navigate over to the settings, I can go over to where it says device preferences, click on that, click on about, and there is a system update section here. And if there was an update, you would get this update over the air. But as of today, as of Sunday, there's no updates available, but it is a very good question. Now, in terms of specs, which I did actually share in the last video, says the Kinhank G1 box has the S905X4 System 1 chip, which is a quad-core CPU with this Mali G31 GPU, has 4 gigs RAM, 32 gig storage. Over here we can see it runs Android TV version 11, and it has all of the certifications for Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, Netflix 4K, Prime Video 4K, supports HDR10 and HDR10+. Next up, we have a question from David who's asking, what standout features does this box have over the 4K Firestick, or that the Firestick doesn't? I'd say like the full-size USB ports are always a great addition because it means obviously you can plug in your standard peripherals, USB keyboards, mice, but it also means you can plug in a normal USB stick and very easily expand the storage. It also does have that Ethernet port, even though it is limited to 100 meg. In many cases, if Wi-Fi is patchy, if Wi-Fi is too far away, having a solid wide connection always wins. Next up, we have a question from Ismail who's asking, how would I compare this box to the old Amazon 4K Fire TV? That was the original Fire TV, which was a beast in its time. It had Ethernet port, it had a USB port, it had micro SD card slot. It had really, really fast CPU. It was phenomenal. The only big, and I mean really big issue is the fact that because Amazon never in their history ever changed the operating system from one Android version to another, that device is still locked into Fire OS 5, which is Android 5 or 5.1. So trying to run applications on Android 5.1, especially newer, more modern applications, would be pretty impossible on a device as old as that. So even though the device is still very, very good, if you're looking for something a bit more recent with more later security updates, I would suggest moving away from Android 5. The next question, which was asked by a number of people, is how do you get this box in the UK? Because when you click on the link I shared previously, it comes up as this Tot Zulu box, which is a slightly rebranding. It is definitely the same box, and this was the link that the vendor gave me. You just have to click on see all buying options, and then you have the option to add it to basket here. You can also click on the 8% discount code, and this is really the best and quickest way to get this box in the UK. The next question is not really related to the G1, but they're asking, how long do I think it will take for Amazon to completely lock up sideloading on? Okay, so I'll say this again. I've said it a few times. 100%, I don't believe ever Amazon will block sideloading. In fact, just make a note of this video and then definitely come back to me in the future if it does happen, because I really can't see how they would block anything like that. Because even just to develop applications, you have to have sideloading, because when I developed the tdoctoruk app killer or the cache cleaner, I had to keep on sideloading the application to my device so I could test it, so I could look for bugs, all that kind of stuff. If sideloading was disabled and the only way you could install applications was from the official Amazon App Store, then that process would be completely impossible for developers. So I would say that sideloading is definitely here to stay. Next question we have is, does the device have the UK suite of TV applications available in the App Store like ITV, BBC iPlayer? That's a great question. So let's check that in real time. So if I go over to the Play Store, and let's see if I search for, let's start with ITV. TV. We can see the ITV, both this application and this one are available. Let's now try BBC iPlayer. Okay, so I can't see BBC iPlayer available directly in the Google Play Store. So potentially that could be sideloaded, but definitely if you're looking for something that's actually already inside the Play Store, that is not there. Next up, we have a question from Kev, which is this a spyware or malware box, or can it be trusted? How's the brand? I mean, the brand Kinhank has been around for a long time. I've actually reviewed some of their retro consoles, their retro hard drives, some of their other retro gaming type stuff before, and I've never had any issues with it. Also in my home network, I do actually monitor all traffic. I've not personally noticed anything of concern, or my device is doing something funny, or my device is acting up. Nothing has happened over the last few weeks whilst I've been testing this device. Of course, there are many people who will say that I'll only buy a box or a stick if it's branded with Amazon, or branded from Roku, or branded from Apple, or the other known established manufacturers. And if that's the case, then clearly this box is not for you. Next up, we have a question from Shink asking, sponsored content? No. So sponsored content is typically where a vendor or a company will reach out to you asking, can you review our product or our service in exchange for money? In this case, no money was exchanged. It's only when I saw the specs of the box and the price point, I knew that you guys would be interested in a box like that. I just asked them to send me a few boxes so I can then use them for a future giveaway. Next up, we have a question from Scott who's asking, does Android 11 run in 64-bit mode, as the on-box has 64-bit processor but runs in... Okay, so I understand the question. So these CPUs are 64-bit typically, but the operating system installed, for example, may only be 32-bit. For example, all of the Fire Sticks, Fire TVs, Fire TV Cubes, they all run in 32-bit mode. And we can see here, if I just open this up, go over to the CPU, we can see this one also is running in 32-bit mode, which means if you have an application which is 64-bit only, like for example some emulators like Mupin, which is a Nintendo 64-bit emulator, that one can only run on a 64-bit OS. So if you want to use that application, clearly this box is not for you. Okay, so how can you enter the competition to win this box? I've actually got 2 to give away, and it is a worldwide competition. So as long as you have an address, I'll be able to get this box over to you. All you need to do is just head over to my website, which is tdoctoruk.com. Click on where it says competition. Here you'll see some screenshots or some pictures about the box, what it looks like, the ports. And here, for example, you'll see Netflix. We can see it does say here 4K, Dolby Vision is there. And when you try to play it, you can see Dolby Vision and Dolby Audio comes through. And similarly over on Amazon Prime, again, we can see UHD, HDR. So definitely the certifications are working correctly. And then also even in Disney Plus. Keep scrolling down, and then you have the entry options here. So you can see you can enter with YouTube. So the YouTube policies have been changed now, so you can't actually set the option to be, you have to be a subscriber. So you can just log in with YouTube and that counts as one entry. You can also follow me on Twitter if you want to do that for another entry. You can come back for a daily bonus entry to increase your chances. And if you retweet this tweet on Twitter, you get another entry. So lots of ways for you to maximize your chances. The competition will end on the last day of February, where I'll pick 2 winners and I'll get these boxes shipped out to you. If you want the box straight away, you can purchase it directly from Amazon UK and Amazon USA, and also from the Kinhank website. I will also leave those links in the description and the pinned comment. Really appreciate your support, and I'll hopefully catch up with you guys real soon. Thanks.